David Long last updated 6:41 the 7th of March 2018. Getty Images It could be harder from 2020 to get players of Juan Martin del Potro's quality to play at the Classic. The future of Auckland's ASB Classic is up in the air. The ATP, who run the men's tour, has announced that from 2020 it will hold the World Team Cup in Australia at the beginning of each year. In a controversial move, it puts the ATP on a collision course with the ITF, who control the Grand Slams and the Davis and Fed Cups. The ITF wants to change the structure of the Davis Cup to a season-ending national team tournament. So there will be two similar events bookending the season, and a victim in what's being branded as a civil war in tennis could be the ASB Classic. Read more * Wimbledon paying off for Routliff * Hot Wimbledon excites Sitic * Bautista Agut defeats Del Potro in ASB Classic final. The ATP's event, which will have $20 million in prize money, will take place before the Australian Open, which begins in the third week of January. Australian media reporting that the World Team Cup, which will feature 24 national teams, will spell the death knell to the Brisbane and Sydney tournaments that take place over the first 2 weeks of January. The ITF-supported Hopman Cup, which is a mixed teams tournament in Perth over the first week of the year, is also under threat. However, this is unlikely to be a big concern across the Tasman, as Tennis Australia are one of the driving forces for the World Team Cup in Brisbane. Sydney and Perth could host the preliminary stages of the event. Craig Tiley, chief executive of Tennis Australia, described it as an exciting new era in men's tennis. The world's top players will continue to start their year in Australia in a format that we believe will deeply engage the fans across Australia and throughout the world, Tiley said. It will be a great result to be able to stage the ATP World Team Cup within the current calendar while significantly improving player prize money. Where Auckland fits into this is unknown. It's believed the World Team Cup will take place over the first week of the year, so the ASB Classic would be sandwiched between it and the Australian Open. It has become increasingly hard for Classic tournament director Carl Budge to get the top men's players to come to Auckland. Even though Budge has done an outstanding job getting the likes of Juan Martin del Potro, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga and Gael Monfils in recent years, there is growing reluctance from the elite players to play in a tournament the week before the Australian Open. That could get a lot harder, as he'll have to persuade leading players to leave Australia, to fly to New Zealand, then return to Australia for the first Grand Slam of the year. Ad feedback: the World Team Cup would have the best singles players in the world, teaming up with someone else from their country for the doubles and, as well as the huge prize money on offer. It is being speculated that ranking points are also up for grabs. But this would be a major disadvantage to New Zealand's three world-class doubles players, Michael Venus, Marcus Daniel and Artem Sitic. And New Zealand doesn't have any top singles players, they would be excluded, but someone like Giles Muller from Luxembourg would be able to bring with him a total unknown to play doubles, because he comes from a tiny country. It's an interesting one, Daniel said. They haven't released too many details of it, so it's a little early to be either positive or negative about it. I guess a positive is that it is a big event, it's another chance to represent your country, and I just hope New Zealand has a chance to be in it. In terms of getting players to Auckland, there are already events in Australia before Auckland. There's the Brisbane tournament and Sydney following on. I hope it doesn't affect the ASB Classic much. Carl has been doing an amazing job at bringing players in. He obviously has some pull, so hopefully he can continue that way. It would be a real shame if it had an impact on Auckland, because that's one of the best ATP 250 tournaments in the world. Stuff.